Good morning, my dear students. Today here I am with my English class number 20, and today we will be discussing on one of the concepts, that is the word forms that we have in English, which is called as affixes in English. Okay, so I have been telling you, I have told you I think so many times once again, because when we are talking about the words play a very important role in the communication, isn't it? So through words we just try to speak, read, write, listen or speak, isn't it? In the similar way, after completing the chapter on environmental issues or the environmentalists, that is Vandana Shiva's lesson, at the end, after the discussion of the question and answers, we have one particular very light concept on what are affixes, and that is what I am going to discuss today. Okay, so with reference to my last or my earlier class relating to Vandana Shiva's essay, I have discussed the question and answers of the chapter related to everything that I need to know. I learned it in the forest by Vandana Shiva. I understand that there were around 14 questions on one word, which we have already discussed, and there were questions on comprehension 2 as well as on comprehension 3, where you are supposed to take the inferences from the text in order to support your answer. So in the examination, who knows, you may be getting the answer, or you may be getting the questions on one word, or maybe on short form of answer, or you may get a question on long answer as well. But the thing is that when you are talking about the Vandana Shiva's essay, you should be specific enough in pertaining to give the details about the chapter on what she actually has discussed in her essay. So I have been telling you that this is a kind of a descriptive essay rather than a story or a theme or something, you read it unlike the other texts or the prose units. Okay, so what I possibly presume the fact is that whatever we have discussed so far with respect to the question and answers is there in your mind at least, or you just have an idea of how to answer those questions, and I will see to it that the question numbers on comprehension 2 and on comprehension 3 will be provided to you, and I am sure that you will also have the other books to take the references. But what I would request is that keep the text as the major source of information for any kind of answer that you are going to prepare for. Okay, so having said that, now let me come on to the last page. That is, I think you have been given certain explanations on the words, like on page number 31 of your textbook, where you have a concept called affix. Okay, affixes. What do you mean by the word affix? You just try to put something there, isn't it? You're just trying to put something there. So before I could come to the topic here, first of all, let us understand that any word, when you take into consideration, either that word can be belonging to 3 different types of the words. In the one form of the word is nothing but it can be called as an affix. So affixes are of 2 types. One is the prefix, the other one is the suffix. Okay, you know this, right? So I'm just giving you the different types of the word forms that we actually have in English. Okay, then the second type or the second form of the words are, any idea? What do you think that the second form of the idea, that is, any word that you take into consideration, you will have to find out, or you will have to know the root of the word in terms of whether it is an antonym or whether it is an synonym of that word. And then the third type of the word forms that we have are the homonyms and the homophones. When I talk to you something about homonyms and homophone, it all depends on the spelling and the pronunciation and the usage of the word. Right? In the similar way, if I have to talk to you something about the antonym and the synonym of the word, you should be in a position to understand the word, to make it into its opposite form by adding an antonym to that, or you should also be in a form of to understand the meaning of the word with the similar meaning words, which are called as the synonyms. Okay, so these are the 2 types of the words, and the third type, or the very first type of the word, is nothing but affixes, prefixes or affixes. Now I'll tell you how exactly that we'll have to understand this word. Okay, as I've already told you, the meaning of the word affix is you're just trying to add something. Affix affix. Okay, so just going to add something to the root of the word in terms of two different types. Okay, and those two different types are nothing but the prefixes and the affixes. So prefixes and suffixes. So these are the two types of the affixes words that we have. The one is the prefix, the other one is the suffix. You know what is the meaning of the word pre? Pre is nothing but before. Okay, the meaning of the word suff is nothing but after. So here, when you understand this concept here, that words, we are today learning the affix form of any word that would be given. So what you need to understand is that, first of all, understand what is the meaning of the word affix. Affix is nothing but you're just going to add something in order to change the meaning, change the usage, or to looking into the context of what exactly the word can be changed in order to change the meaning. So that is why you are going to add something to the meaning of the word. It could be before the word starts, or it could be after the word is given to you. Like for example, prefix or suffix. So this is something that you have been learning, okay, and today we will be discussing here about the different types of the prefixes or the suffixes that we can make in order to change the entire meaning of the word in terms of its usage depending on the concept. Okay, so I'll just give you one example here, and probably that would definitely, you know, give you a clear clarity or a picture on what exactly that you will have to think. If you have a word like respect, okay, so if I ask you to make it into, let us learn today only about the prefixes and suffixes, as we are dealing with only the affixes here, okay. But in a general view, when we are doing a prefix form of the word, knowingly or unknowingly, you are also doing the what form of the other word that we had already discussed, or I have just told you just before at the start of my session. Knowingly or unknowingly, you are also doing the antonym part of that particular word, isn't it? Now antonym and prefix, almost they go in same and same, but it depends on the what type of a word or in what context are you going to use it or something. Okay, for example, if you have a word like respect, what is the part of speech of this word? Giving respect. Respect will become what? Respect can be used as a noun, isn't it? Respect can be used as a noun, and respect can also be used as a verb depending on the context how we are using this word, isn't it? Now when we are talking about the affix forms, let us concentrate only on the prefix part or the suffix part of the word. Okay, now what is the meaning of the word prefix? As I said before. And what is the definition for a word like which is called as suffix? You are just going to add something to the meaning of the word after it ends. For example, respect is a word that is given, and if I ask you to prefix this word, what will you do? You will add dis. Respect, disrespect. Correct? Are you going to add dis in the form of a prefix? Respect, disrespect. Give respect to your teacher, don't disrespect your. What do you think the prefix form that can be added to this word to make it into a prefix? Respect, disrespect, isn't it? Don't disrespect the values, the moral values that your parents have taught you. Don't disrespect your parents, don't disrespect your teachers. Can I say that? Okay, so if you are adding dis at the beginning of the word, it will become prefix, isn't it? The main words that we mainly use in the form of prefixes are dis, you use un, you use in, isn't it? For example, unsatisfied. If I am putting a word like satisfied, you will say unsatisfied. Unsatisfied can also be an example for antonym. It is also an example for prefix. In the same way, if I have to give you a word like separate, Okay, inseparate. You will say inseparate. In the similar way, there are so many words that can be used in the form of prefixes to make it into the antonym part of a word. At the same time, you can also make the word in the form of adding different words. Isn't it? Example for I am. If I am using this as the prefixes, all these words as the prefixes, you will have to think of the different words that can be used. For example, imagine, unimagine. Isn't it? Separate, inseparate. Do you say inseparate or unseparate? Definitely inseparate, isn't it? In the similar way, if you have a word like possible, impossible is what you are going to add. So what exactly are you going to do? That is, before a word, you are adding some of these words in order to make it into a prefix form. On the other hand, you are also doing the antonym form of the word. But one thing that you will have to note here is that all the words, all the prefixes cannot be treated or cannot be judged as an antonym. It all depends on what kind of a word that you are talking to us all about. Getting? Or if getting? Are you done? Do your work. Done. Undone is something that you say. Like for example, if you are having that word like do and undo, especially it happens on a computer screen when you are actually writing or typing something. Do and undo. Undo, what does that mean? It says that whatever, go back to the normal situation or something. So there are certain words, not only these 4 words, you can think of so many other words also which can be used as the prefixes form of the word or something. Okay, now if I am giving you a word just as a respect, and if I am asking you to make it a suffix form, what would you say? You would say respectable. Okay, then you would say respective. You would say respectful. Isn't it? Now, what are you doing? That is, the word is here only, whatever the word is given, but you are using certain words to the end of the word or to the later part of the word, which are called as suffixes. So all these words are example for suffixes. Okay, satisfaction. You make it as an adjective, isn't it? You make it as an adjective and you add ion. And when you are adding it, it becomes what? It becomes what? It becomes an suffix form of that particular word. So this is the concept you need to understand. Hope I am clear with whatever I have told you just now. So we are doing something on the affix form of the words, and affixes can be of 2 types. That is, one is the prefix form of the word, the other one is the suffix form of the word. And what do you mean by a prefix and what do you mean by a suffix? That is what you will have to understand, and based on whatever the kind of a word that will be given to you in the examination, analyze the word, find out what is the part of speech of that particular word, and then try to do it in the form of, if you are asked a question on prefix, add something before the word starts, and if you are asked about write a suffix form of that, then you will have to think of the word that can be added in the later part of the word that is given. So if you are doing this exercise, or if you are aware of this, okay, the concept of affixes should be very clear in your mind. Okay, so there will be 1 mark question on this, either to identify a prefix or to write the suffix form of the given word in the examination. So this concept should be very clear in your mind, and as I have already told you that when you are doing actually the prefixes, more or less you are also doing the antonym part of the word, but all the words that you do as a prefix form will not be considered as the antonyms. Right. So when I'll do that when I come to the antonym and synonym part of the words or something, but right now let us concentrate on something that is called as affix form of the word. So be clear with this concept in your mind, and then we will do whatever is been given in the text. Am I clear? All of you? Respect, respectable, respective, respectful. So prefix forms. Disrespect, okay, unimaginable, unclear, whatever I say is unclear, clear, unclear. Okay, in the similar way, complete, incomplete or incomplete. So most of us have this confusion between in and un. But see to it that whenever you are judging a word, see to it that you are using a proper prefix form in order to give the antonym. Antonym will come at the later part of the stage, but you should be in a position to give what is the correct prefix form for the given word in the examination, or you should be in a position to write the exact suffix form if it is asked. Hope the concept is clear, so you understand in this way, and then we will do certain exercises that have been given in the text. Okay, so today we are doing something on the affixes or the affix form of the words in English. Okay, so can I come on to the text now? So see, on page 31 you have been given the explanation about the exercise on affixes. Okay, so this will act as your vocabulary, to increase your vocabulary. Why should you know a prefix or affix form of a word, or why should you know an antonym or a synonym part of a word, or why should you know that the homonym or a homophone of a word is just to increase your vocabulary. So if you are well aware of vocabulary in these three types of the word forms that I have already discussed with you, you should be very clear in terms of identifying or writing or give the form of the word in three different ways, whatever I have discussed. Okay, see, a prefix is a word or a syllable added to the beginning of a root word to qualify or change the meaning of that word. Okay, now in my example, respect was the root word that I used, isn't it? That was the main word that I used. Then we did the prefix form as well as the suffix form or something. Okay, in the similar way, imagine, root word is imagine. Okay, then what is the prefix form of that word? Unimagine. Okay, imaginative, imaginable, unimaginable. There are words which can be used both in the form of a prefix as well as a suffix, which will altogether change the root meaning of the specific word that is given. So what you need to understand is that prefix adding before the word, root word, before the root word, and suffix adding something at the later part of the word or something. We all have heard of adverbs in English, isn't it? What are adverbs? A adverb is a word which says something more about the verb, because verb and adverb both are interrelated, or they are correlated to each other, isn't it? So for example, if you have a word like fast, I write very fast. Very will be a word which is an example for adjective, but when you say the action in course of adding a suffix form, you say fastly, isn't it? I write very slow, or my writing is very slow, or I write very slowly, you say. That is adding ly in the form of a suffix form and making that word from verb to adverb. So keep these things in your mind so that you will understand how the word can be categorized with its root word that will be given. So the root word will be nothing but your question, and you will have to analyze the question properly and give whatever the asked form of the word to change it into the different meaning altogether. Okay, now for example, when some prefixes like dis, im, non, okay, this word is something that is violent, non-violent, violence, non-violence, living, non-living, getting? So in the similar way, in, direct, indirect way, direct, indirect speech. Take your example, one of the concepts from your grammar, direct speech and indirect speech, isn't it? Then D, okay, decompose, compose, decompose, something like that. And then anti. Anti is a most viable used word with person one who is having against qualities. For example, if you have a hero in a story, okay, you will add that anti and then you say anti-hero, isn't it? Straight away you can say hero villain, right? In the similar way, if you have the tablets, antibiotics, when you have a fever or something, when you go to a doctor, he will prescribe you the biotic tablets first, isn't it? Even then, if it doesn't come down, even if the temperature doesn't go down, if you're still suffering from the fever, you go to the same doctor second time, and then he will give you something that is called as antibiotic, isn't it? Clockwise, anti-clockwise, getting? You are doing the prefix form at the same time. What are you doing? At the same time, you are also doing the antonym part of the word, isn't it? Antonym part of the word, isn't it? Compose, decompose, isn't it? So, do you think that deceased, he is deceased person, do you think it is a prefix word? No, here it is not a, because you do not have ceasing, cease of the fire, decease you cannot add. That's why I said that all the words cannot be changed into the antonym part or the prefix form. It all depends on what kind of a word that you have got, so that you will think twice before adding a prefix or before adding a suffix. Keep that thing in your mind. Okay, the examples have been given there. Disharmony. Okay, when prefixes like anti are added, the words get a negative connotation. Negative connotation, nothing but they get an opposite, nothing but as I said, you will be giving or you will be doing the antonym part of that word or something. Okay, now he gives certain examples there. Harmony, disharmony is what you say, isn't it? Harmony, disharmony. Harmony, harmonious. What is the difference between prefix and suffix? In the similar way, possible, impossible, possibility. You know the difference. What is the prefix and what is the suffix there? In the similar way, violent, violent, non-violent, violently, ly. You are adding ly as a suffix to change the meaning of the word. In the similar way, separate, separable. Separate, separable, inseparable is the prefix form, ble is the suffix form. In the similar way, take an example of this word that we have done in the essay, forest, deforest. Afforestation, deforestation. These are the two quick, very viable examples from the chapter or from the essay that we have discussed. That is deforestation, afforestation. You are adding only the prefix form in the form of D, E and AF. Okay. Then apartheid, anti-apartheid. Okay, when we were discussing something about the Cormac Cullinan's weave on monoculture, he talks to us about something that is called as apartheid and anti-apartheid. Don't say non-apartheid, apartheid, anti-apartheid or something. Okay, then look up the dictionary and find suitable prefixes for the following words. Responsible. You're doing the prefix forms, okay? It's very clearly given. So understand what is the question that is being asked to you in the examination. Don't get confused. If you are asked to do the prefix, definitely think of adding something before the word starts. And if you are asked to do the suffix form, see to it that you will add something to change the meaning of the word at the later part of the word or at the end of the word. Responsible. Responsible. What is the prefix form? Irresponsible. IR is what you are going to add it and make it into a prefix form. Responsibility, you are adding the suffix form. In the similar way, human, inhuman. Humanity, that will be the suffix. In the similar way, practical, impractical. Natural, unnatural you say. Active, this is a very inactive group. IN, isn't it? Inactive. Material, immaterial, isn't it? Immaterial. Then civilized, you add UN there. Uncivilized is what you say. Perfect, you add IM again, beginning of the word, imperfect. Try to use each of these words meaningfully in your own sentences. So how do you use these words indifferently based on the prefix form? Is that you should know what is the prefix form is of that specific word, then you can make the sentences of your own. Okay, as far as I know, in the examination you will be asked only to give the root word to change it into either a prefix form or into the suffix form. Once you analyze the meaning of the word, it becomes easy for you to make the sentences of your own. Okay, now with this, let me come on to something that is called as suffix form of the word. A suffix is a syllable or a word added to the end of the root word to qualify its meaning to form a new word. By adding suffixes like al, ism, ion, ment, ship, ship, etc., we can form different words. Some are given below. I arrived at a final conclusion. If you have a word like arrive, okay, arrivals or arrival, the arrival of so and so, Getting? So arrival will become, arrive was the word that was given to you as a form of a verb, and you made it al at the end of the word by changing its meaning. In a similar way, you have been given the word like consumer, consumerism. I think this is also a word from the text only. Consumerable, consumerism. So there are two words that can be added as a suffix form. And the similar way, move. That is moving, an act of verb, move. So you added ment and you made it as movement, isn't it? So adding suffix form. Then relation, relative can also be a suffix form. A relationship again can be an example for the suffix form of the word. Pick out more such words from the essay and use them in your own sentences. So this is what exactly she talks to us something about the two different forms of the affix. The one is the prefix, the other one is on the suffix form. Then in Vandana Shiva's essay, you have come across many unfamiliar words such as, okay, now you have been given a set of words from the essay taken from her own essay, and now you should be in a position to identify what this word means, and you should also be in a position to either give a prefix form or the suffix form of that particular word. For example, ecosystem. System was there, you added eco, ECO, something pertaining to the nature in the beginning part of the word, and you made it as a ecology, isn't it? In a similar way, biology. So you have these words where you are prefixing them in order to change the meaning of the word or something. So we all know that there is a branch of study is something that is always called as, that ends with LOGY. In the similar way, you keep on adding prefixes in order to go to the specific branch or in order to go to the specific meaning of the word in terms of that one, isn't it? Ecology. Logy was given to you, ecology, you added ECO, then it became something pertaining to environment, isn't it? Yeah, logy was there and you added BIO as a prefix to that word, and you started working or reading something about the living things on earth, isn't it? Biology, like that. In the similar way, ecocentrism. So eco can be used sometimes as a prefix, but here mainly we are using ISM as a suffix form of the word. Okay, it is exactly like consumerism that we are just discussed. Okay, eco-apartheid, something relating to the nature, apartheid, and then what is the other word? Anti-apartheid. So you can just make use of that word. Then diversity, we have always thought of bio living in that way. Then biodiversity, intensive, monoculture, fossil fuel. Okay, so there are not exactly the same words that come under affixes, but it all depends on the root word, how it got originated to English. So what we are just trying to do in this particular essay is that, in this particular section of my grammar concept that was given in your text was to understand the difference between, or to understand what do you mean by a affix first, and how these affixes can be of two types. The one is the prefix, the other one is the suffix. So whenever you try to get new words, just see to it that you also try to find out a prefix form or a suffix form of the word or something. Okay. In the similar way, when you have done this particular, understood the particular concept of so-called affixes, you are thorough with changing the meaning of the word altogether by analyzing the word. So the best way to do it is that whenever you get a question, see to it that, or just try to find out what is the part of speech of this word and how exactly can you use it in the form of a prefix by adding whatever the word that we have, or if you are asked a question on suffix, what exactly can be used in the form of a suffix form of the word or something. Okay, so have this knowledge with you. Okay, and just read the chapter once again, try to identify the different prefixes or the suffixes used by Vandana Shiva in reciprocating this essay that we have discussed. Okay, so with this I just wind up this session here on affixes. If you have any doubts in this or something, please re-watch the video once again. Okay, I'm using the word re-watch, watch it again. So RE is word nothing but an example for a prefix. Okay, so watchable, when you say watch, watchable, so this was a watchable video. that is I could watch it, something that gives me something like that. So whenever you analyze the word, see to it that first identify the part of speech of that word and then think of doing a prefix or doing the suffix form of the word. So it all based this particular exercise will be based exactly on the type of a question that will be appearing on your examination. So see to it that understand the question very carefully, whether you're supposed to do a prefix form of the word or you're supposed to do the suffix form of the word. Altogether this word is called as affix. Okay, so you're affixing something in order to change the meaning of the word, either at the beginning of the word or maybe at the end of the word or something. Okay, so read the chapter once again and try to identify the different affixes that are used, whether they are prefixes or they are suffixes or something. Okay, so thank you very much, and I shall meet you in the next class. Let me see what best can I do or take up in the next class of mine, so that we will continue this online teaching until further notice by the government. Okay, until then we will be continuing with the what's this, non-interactive class or something, because I just need to keep on speaking and you just got to listen to whatever I discuss. So let us see, and what best I can do, probably in the next class I will post you, or maybe let's go on to the next unit that we have or something. And by now you should be very clear with this form, that is affixes in English. All right, thank you very much.